Hey everyone, sorry for taking a break off last week, but I am back. But that also means we have a ton of news to cover, so let's get right into it for the week of October 19th, 2022. Now on to a news segment that I hope doesn't become reoccurring, and that's last week's news. I'm going to go over quickly some of the big news stories I saw from last week, but didn't talk on because while they're a bit old now, I still think they're pretty cool. First up, Cyclades is getting a new version. As of now, I think it's just called Cyclades 2. It was showed off at Essen. It seems to have some modular boards instead of the regular board, something more akin to Spirit Island. This is a very popular game, one of the first games in our game group sort of shared library, and one I have a troubled history with. That is because, one, I'm just not generally good at auction games in general, and two, in one game, I played so poorly that one person had to look up what would happen in a situation in which the people on Board Game Geek responded, why did this happen? How could it have happened? The people shouldn't be playing so bad that this occurred. So I now know that I played so poorly in a game that I did something that should never occur. So that's a thing. Regardless, I'm still sort of looking forward to this because, one, it is a bit nostalgia. It's one of our group's sort of first games. So it's something that even though I have those weird feelings, I'm like, I still want to see it and see what happens and have this at the table. Because even if I do terribly again and somehow give up every single island, it'll have some fun nostalgia. And considering that Kemet got a facelift, which is almost like the Egyptian brother of Cyclades, they even had an expansion pack to mix and match their components. Hopefully that will be one of the things you can get on this crowdfunding project as well. But moving on, Wingspan, the Asia expansion, has been something a lot of people are excited for, myself included. We now have some more details you can check out, but we've learned it is a standalone two-player as well as an expansion for the game. So in other words, for me, it is an expansion that includes a special two-player variant. I'm very excited to see how this all works out and how it will do if it's just I can only use the Asian cards for the two-player version or mix and match to really make some weirder two-player variants. Now, moving on from there, Renegade Studios has gotten the rights to produce a bunch of Hasbro games, including Axis and Allies. It's not all of them, but it's showing the strong connection between Renegade Game Studios and Hasbro as well. They've already been producing pretty much most of Hasbro's biggest non-Wizards of the Coast properties, Transformers, My Little Pony, G.I. Joe. So it's no surprise that they've been given the reins to some of their other popular titles. I'm very curious what this means for Avalon Hill, if they're going to still keep that up, or really they're pretty much just going to have them do the monopolies, have Hasbro do the monopolies, the more basic, what we used to think of board games, while anything a bit more, I guess, into the hobbyist zone would be handed off to Renegade. Or there is also the possibility of Hasbro just purchasing Renegade. We'll be talking more about Hasbro a little bit later. And unfortunately, now we have a sad note. Game designer Chris Gabrielson died at Essen. He is the designer of games such as Company of Heroes. It was announced on the Kickstarter page for the game by his brother that he passed away. So unfortunately, another loss for the board gaming world. Finally, we're going to get on to our main stories of the week. Mainly, they pretty much revolve around two companies, CMON and Hasbro. First off with CMON, they have announced that they are making a new wave season. I can't remember the exact wording for Cthulhu, Death May Die. This is if you aren't shocked by the name, a Lovecraft-based game, but the theme being less scared investigator, more I'm pissed off at Cthulhu, and this time I'm going to go at him like Doom. So it has a cool madness system that I really enjoyed, but I haven't played it enough to really do an official review, hence why no video. But for now, for this new season, you can wait for it. It should be coming to crowdfunding sometime soon, and you can check it out when it comes there if you already have stuff and looking for new things, or if this is the time you want to finally dive into this heavy minigame. The more interesting story, though, is that they partnered with Iron Maiden to release a bunch of miniatures of Eddie, Iron Maiden's mascot, to work with not just Zombicide, but most of their games. Now, the way it works is it's being sold in a bundle of 3 boxes, and each box contains different versions of Eddie with rules for certain games. Most of them, I'm pretty sure at least, work with Zombicide, but some of them and work for some of the other games. You can sort of guess based on their motif. For example, the ones with a bit more of an Egyptian motif will work in Ankh, so on and so forth. The weird thing is, and the thing that is probably really annoying people the most, is Let's say you only wanted the Ankh-related minis. Well, it seems that each box contains one from each game rather than putting all the Ankh ones maybe in one of the packs so you can only just buy that box. And I understand that frustration because you feel like you're forced to buy a lot of extra bulk just to get, if you chose to get the promos you want. And of course, FOMO. And if you're like me, you usually want every kind of mini expansion for a game you like. So it stings a little bit to have this kind of issue. It just feels like you're being forced to buy a bunch of extra stuff. Now, if you're a Zombicide fan, I don't think that's an issue. I think you can use almost everything here. So this is just a big box expansion. But if you are in any of those other ones, I see where you're coming from. I wish they could do piecemeal where you could be like, I'll just buy these 3 minis. And in particular, I believe this is limited print run too, so there's going to be that FOMO there as well. But I really wish that there was a way to maybe make this a bit more available. Yes, I know. I'm almost certain someone who, let's say, going back to the Ankh example, will buy these and sell everything that is not the Ankh-related ones. So that might be your way to get the ones you need for Cthulhu Death May Die or the Samurai for Rising Sun. But I feel like you shouldn't rely on the secondary market to resolve your problems. One that I think could be fixed by CMON by themselves. In fact, if they just did like a pledge project or like Kickstarter, GameFound for the Iron Maiden sets, and you like, fund for every $10 you put in, I don't know, you get one of the minis. People will probably be pretty happy with that because they could piecemeal buy what they need and what they get. And it'd be a bit more of a hassle mixing everything together, but probably not the worst thing in the world right now. Regardless, if you do like Iron Maiden, this is a cool collectible, even if you don't play the games. That's what I think. If you're an Iron Maiden fan or you're a Zombicide fan, you will come out top here. Anything else, though, this is going to sting a bit more. Hasbro has announced Wizards of the Coast's Magic the Gathering will be the first billion-dollar valued property they own under their umbrella. This is pretty interesting for 2 reasons. One, it's interesting just because there have been so many times that Hasbro has stated they wanted to increase the value, or Wizards, I guess, the value of their products, and Magic has consistently been able to do so much earlier than expected, for better or for worse, if you're a Magic player. And this also means that this is something that what they're doing now, they view is a very good path, and they're going to keep doing and moving forward. The biggest thing I would say would be bringing up those Universal Beyond cards. So we're going to see probably more cards of other properties, such as, we've already seen, Transformers coming soon. I talked about those. I think Doctor Who is supposed to be slated by next year. We may see other big properties as well, and maybe this might be more of like something like Wise Schwartz, where we might see more properties rather than original things in Magic. I'm very curious to see if that's the path Magic will slowly take, or at least Hasbro wants Magic to take, in sort of just trying to get everyone there like pop figures. But this is also on top of news recently that Hasbro's game sales are down 23%. It seems Hasbro isn't doing as well outside of the small Wizards of the Coast bubble. Almost like that's a very good tentpole for Hasbro when everything else isn't doing as well. There are complaints for many different reasons. I'm a bit more in line knowing Transformer stuff and people complaining about the figures and the packaging. But obviously when it comes to the game market, I don't think that things like Monopoly they have a much harder time to rival when you now go to your big major game stores, not game stores, just mass market stores like your Target and Walmart, and you actually see many more hobbyist games there, which people might be more inclined to purchase and buy now, especially if they look online. I'm sure look at Board Game Geek subreddits and things like that. So I'm curious to see how Hasbro is going to handle all this and how much they're going to try to focus on Magic. Maybe it will start seeing some of those more Magic and TV shows they keep telling us about actually be made. Finally, to end on a bit of a cooler note with Magic the Gathering, they recently announced some new secret layers. These are sort of like pop-up one-time purchase sale of already usually printed cards, but with cool artwork, maybe something special like a connection. In this case, they've got 2 really cool artists, Junji Ito, who's known for a lot of crazy horror art, as well as Yoji Shinkawa, who I know very well for a lot of their art involving Metal Gear Solid. I really love what they did here in choosing these artists. In general, I love it when they pull artists from outside the world of Magic Gathering to do art of just cards in their own style. It feels something that's rewarding to both the Magic players and the people, the fans of artists, without I think, crossing too many lines, as it's not really like a character from an outside property that can't be reprinted again. It's just cool art. With me, skipping a week means a lot of Kickstarters I missed, so let's get right to it. First off, this one's a really quick one. It's Oathsworn. It's the second reprinting of this game. I actually have a copy and a little behind in the campaign. I should be releasing my review of it soon. You can watch our preview of that or wait for an official review. Other than that, if you like dark, cool campaign stories, check this one out. If you're looking to buy the base game for the first time because you missed the first wave, there is a $125 for a standee version, but there's add-ons and different versions for miniatures, so find whichever pledge level fits you the best. Next up is our only game found one, and that's Escape from New York. This has you play as the characters from the movie Escape from New York, and you will be able to either work together in order to try to save the president, make it across, or secretly try to fulfill your own personal goals, which may have you leave everyone else to their own fate and you to win the game alone. Of course, there's a ticking timer, so if you take too long, everyone loses, and only the Duke of New York will win. I admit I'm a big fan of this movie, partially because of Metal Gear Solid games, and with the cancellation of the Metal Gear board game from a while back, this might be the only way we get the chance to play as Snake, technically. Now, I will say I'm interested in the balance of the personal goals versus the group goal, as this is a heavy discussion I've had with people, and one I would love to hear your thoughts on when it came to Dead of Winter, of whether you try to achieve the actual win game goal or what you need to do beforehand in order to win with the group in the win game goal, because this seems technically different in this game. It seems like you can decide to become a traitor or work with the group, so I'll have to see how that works. If this sounds interesting to you, you can back this for about $59. I think it's actually a little less depending on conversion rates. And there's plenty of more stuff though if you really want to deluxify it. Check it out and see if you can get out of New York. Next one is for an expansion game you can see on screen whenever you watch the news, and that's Canvas Finishing Touches. Canvas is a game all about using layered cards to make all these beautiful pieces of art, and Canvas Finishing Touches added some extra elements for you to mess around with. Each frame can only hold one painting, which usually has the most of a specific element. Should another player have more than yours, they're going to take your piece out, putting theirs in, adding a bit more player interaction. They also had a new module involving famous artists that giving you special abilities, really allowing your paints to flourish. And just like any other good expansion, more of the normal stuff, such as more elements, more goals, things to just add more variety to your game. You can see them right behind me over there. That's one reason to get it. They look really nice and hanging on your wall, but the game itself is really fun. I have a review for it if you want to check out the base game review. I highly recommend you take a look at this at the very least to get some nice art on your shelf. Now, if you do have all this and you're just looking for the expansion, it starts at $35, but you can go a bit more for some deluxe stuff, as well as things from the previous campaigns. Next, we have Warcrow Adventures. This is one of the games on my SN preview list. This is a cooperative, app-driven dungeon crawler in which you'll be playing over multiple different scenarios, exploring different environments, and of course, trying to save the day. I bring this one up as what may be appealing for this one compared to many of the other mini dungeon crawler games out there is that Warcrow is also being made into a tabletop war game, something more akin to Warhammer or I believe Infinity, which is made by the same company. So this could be a way for you to have a cooperative version of a game that will also play into the competitive style game when that is released as well. If you just are looking for this base game, it's gonna be around $117 US, but I'm sure there'll be more for whether you are more excited for more of the story, more of the war game that will later come on, or just interested in both. This one I talked about as a news story, so it's no surprise it's now a pick. It's Monty Python's co-curricular medieval reenactment program, which is absolutely not a role-playing game. This book, which is totally not a role-playing book, doesn't just cover the Holy Grail Monty Python, but rather their whole catalog. It just has the medieval vibe to sort of start you off until the head of Enlightenment, who's not the GM, is a bit annoyed with all of your shenanigans. If you're looking to celebrate your love for Monty Python or just to be silly, this is probably a great one for you to totally not roleplay. Now, you can get the PDF version for $25 or a physical book for $65. This final one I thought just looked really cool. It's called Super Snipers. It is a game in which you are playing head-to-head or a solo mode as snipers trying to use these Tetris-like pieces to focus in on your scope, find your opponent, and then save all the bystanders and take the shot. This looks like a fun, quick-paced game that has a lot of fun little puzzly elements to it, which, I'm a big fan of. I also really like, this is a mode, but it's the one I probably prefer, of using timers. So in other words, you need to work as quick as possible to line up your shot before your opponent does. Now, the way the game works is you actually lay out 3 tokens next to 3 boards on your opponent's side. Their goal is to surround a symbol on the board where they can reveal the token you placed by that board, showing if you're there or not. Then, if you do find your opponent, you're going to flip that board over and put it into your scope. They have a board that looks like a scope, in which you'll have to try to surround them with the pieces and then get that one final shot on your opponent. This looks like a really fun, puzzly game. I like the weird head-to-head nature, and I really want to try out that timed version mode. If you're interested in this, you can get a print and play for only $6, but if you want a cool deluxe version, I believe that's the first physical version you can actually get, it's $48. Finally, let's talk about projects ending. Unfortunately, I bet some ended while I just took a break, so I apologize in advance for if you missed any of those. But that means you can still catch these that I'm going to talk about if you act fast. First, there is the camera shooting one. I mentioned Redwood. This is a really interesting game that uses mechanics that I see more in tabletop games like X-Wing or miniature war games in order for you to move around the board and take the best photo. Then there's also Deep Madness, Reborn and Reprint. If you're looking for crazy alternate art of horrible creatures while being trapped deep under the sea with an oxygen mechanic, if you ever dive underwater, definitely check this one out. And finally, there's Daybreak, the game from the creator of Pandemic, which is all about global warming. All these are ending very shortly, so please go check them out after finishing the video. But this is the end of the video. That's all I have to it. Tell me what I missed. Did I miss something big that happened last week somehow? Or is there something for this week that I should talk more about? Thank you so much for dealing with me, and thank you for all the help you give me. If you, of course, could share this with someone if you think they'd be interested in any of these stories, or if you'd like to give the like, the subscribe, comment, all the stuff that YouTube enjoys. And if you want to be really nice, there's always Patreon. That is always amazing for everyone who supports me on there. But for now, I'm Will, and this has been the Roll for Crit News.